Okay, can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? I think you should be able to hear me now. So put it in the comment if you can hear me now, because I think you should be able to hear me. Yes, you can hear me. Okay, great. Thank you for letting me know. Yeah, I had my headphone jack still in, so forgot to take that out. So again, let me say hi to everybody out there in YouTube land and everybody that is in Facebook land and everybody that will be watching the replay. I do appreciate it and thank you so much for uh, watching, dropping in, and everything. So I wanted to say hi to Robin, Jeanette, and to Jenny and Carol. Hi, thank you for stopping in. Let me see if I got everybody so far. And Carol, you said no wine for you tonight. You picked and juiced 5 pounds of cherries this morning, and your husband just made the yummiest cocktail from the juice. Okay, well, you didn't let it ferment long enough to make it out of wine, but at least you're having some pre-wine here. And hi, Pearl, how are you? And Joanna, hi, you must be back. Welcome back from your trip. So let me see. I think you guys said that you can hear me, so I think I got that resolved. Hi, Becky. How are you? Thanks for dropping by. I do appreciate that as well. Let's see what's going on with me. Busy, busy, busy. You'll get yours in a minute. Okay, Jenny, you know you have to join me, and I'm pretty sure you're joining me as well, Jeanette. So anybody that want to, you're more than welcome to pick up your libation and come on in, because this is Shirley's Wine Down Tuesday, and you're supposed to have a glass of something. If it's not anything but a glass of water, a cold beer, a nice cool glass of wine, or room temperature if you're drinking red, however you like it, a soda, something. Join in the fun. So tonight is a topic that, in all honesty, I have to admit is a piggyback onto what Jeanette talked about on Friday. However, I have been looking at, we talked on Wednesday, those of you guys that joined me for Zoom, we talked on Wednesday about the new machines that Brother has coming out and everything. We talked about it briefly and had some comments and stuff about it. So I decided that I would just kind of expound on that a little bit, but not specifically talking about the machines per se, but talking about embroidery machines in general. Are they getting too complicated? Are a lot of the bells and whistles, are they just something that they put on there, or are they something that we really, really need? Is it something that is going to be beneficial for us? So that's what I wanted to talk about tonight. Like I said, are we getting overwhelmed with these bells and whistles on these latest machines? Are we wondering that these fancy features are worth it, especially with the money? Every time you get a new machine or a new machine comes out, you have to understand that new money, they come up with various additions to machines, and of course the price goes up. And I know that we had talked a little bit, like I said, on Wednesday, in trying to compare to what we already have to what is coming out. And, you know, it just makes you wonder, is it really something that is worthwhile upgrading to? Is it too complicated? So that's what I wanted to focus on tonight, just talking about a little bit about some of the things that are coming out and whether or not there's going to be a benefit to us. So when you're shopping for a new machine, are you looking at the fancy features? And if so, are they really helpful? Are they just bells and whistles that the companies have put in there for upgrade? And it's important that we dive into that and think about it, because I know when something new comes out, we get all excited, and then we start thinking about, do I want to trade mine in? Do I want to add on to what I have? Many of us have numerous machines of different makes and models, and most of them, if you stop and think about it, a lot of them are kind of like duplicates. They kind of do some of the same things. So did we really need to purchase that particular machine, or could we have just stuck with what we have? And if we do purchase new machines with all these fancy bells and whistles to it, are we utilizing them? That's the most important thing. I've had a couple of presentations I know that I've made discussing that, whether or not we are using all of the features that our current machines have. And if we're not, why would we add more machines with more features and we're not even using the ones that we have? That's kind of where I'm going tonight. So, Jeanette, you said I wouldn't upgrade because I don't see any new capabilities that we could live without. I think the companies are just trying to push to make sales. That is an excellent, excellent way of putting it, Jeanette. And you say if they don't get our money with the new machine, with the new money, they're trying to get it by these subscription programs. Yeah, I guess you're talking like ArtSphere and stuff like that, which I do not subscribe to currently. Not trying to knock that for anybody else, because I know there are people on here that do subscribe to ArtSphere and they love it. But just keep in mind, they do have the free version as well. So don't think that you have to be pressured to spend the money unless you really, really need to. And Carol, let me see what you're saying. You said, I was actually glad that the new PR10 needle did not change much. No fear of missing out this time. And that is true. And I'm going to go over, I know Jeanette went over it the other night, and I looked at some things as well, and some of it may be a repeat, I don't know, but I'm going to also go over, I'm going to actually do a comparison, a side-by-side comparison of the PR1055X and the PR1060W. And then I'm also going to do a comparison of the Celeste, I forget it's CX1 or CX2, and Luminaire, and the Avenir, just to give you a little education on what's different between the machines and what's the same, especially if anybody's out here thinking about upgrading. And I have to tell you, I love bells and whistles. I'm not going to lie. I love bells and whistles, but you have to stop and think, as I mentioned, is it something you really need? Is it worth the extra money that it costs to get a whole brand new machine? Or are you okay with what you have and you can do without the little changes that may be occurring? So just think about that as I go along. So the first thing I want to do is talk about, if you are a beginner, whether or not these features, the new features that they have, are helpful. And some of the visual elements that you have, the embroidery machines have lots of buttons and screens and different things that you can do that makes it supposed to make the job easier. But does it really make the job easier if you don't understand how to use the machine, or specifically what the machine does? Now, some of the things that it does that's new, I'm just talking about the newer machines in general. I'm not talking about any one machine specifically right now. I'm talking about just in general from machines of the early 2000s and what's available now. Automatic needle threading and thread trimming. Those things you like. No more squinting at the needle or chasing jump stitches and scissors. They also have built-in designs and lettering. So you have a whole array of designs and everything at your fingertip that makes where you don't have to get software or anything like that. So you can create projects right away without needing to buy software. So that's important. When I first got my machine, which was SE 1900, That was my very first embroidery machine that I actually got and kept and used. And initially, I did use some of the designs on the machine, but I have to be honest about it. I have not used a lot of those designs, and they're beautiful designs, but you kind of fall into that trap of buying designs online or something along that line. I know I did. When I discovered that Etsy had beautiful designs, especially they had beautiful Afro-American designs, I just got hooked into buying designs off of Etsy, and I bought quite a few. And as I learned more, I branched out and bought designs from other websites. And have spent most of my time and energy and money buying designs versus using the designs that I already have that are on my machine. And that includes my SE 1900 as well as my PR 1055X. They both have lots of designs, but I have not used, I believe I haven't even used a tenth of the designs that actually come with the machines, which is not really saying something that's good. And I did turn around and I did buy software right away. I bought my embroidery software in the very beginning of my embroidery experience. I don't remember exactly who recommended it because I was watching Eve with the baby booty at the time and learning from her. And she was promoting So What Pro, I believe it is. And I didn't get So What Pro because I had already purchased Embrilliance. If I had not, I most likely would have gotten So What Pro as she was promoting it because it was very inexpensive compared. It was, I think she was running like $79, I think, for the So What Pro versus $140 for Embrilliance. So because I got the first module, it was a little bit more expensive, but it wasn't that much of a big deal. So I wasn't really that disappointed that I ended up getting Embrilliance first, which I'm actually glad, because if for no other reason, the BX fonts made that purchase very worthwhile for me. And to this day, I don't purchase fonts unless they are the BX format. The other thing that these machines do as far as features, they do offer on-screen editing. You can resize, rotate, combine little designs without having to know a lot about digitizing software. So that's what some of these new automated machines do. And also easy to use hoops. You can snap them in, no struggle, and you're ready to stitch. So it's not that the machines have come a long way throughout the 2000s. Now, those are things that the beginners see that are very useful. Now, when we start talking about experienced embroiderers, which most of us that are on here are, when I say experienced, I know all of us have way more than a year or two of embroidery experience. Many of us have several years of embroidery experience. So I consider us anywhere from intermediate to experienced. And these new gadgets and gears and stuff, are they something that is beneficial to us? And I think it is. I would not want to use some of the older machines now because I am spoiled. I have to be honest about it. I am spoiled. And from the more experienced embroiderer, maybe looking at doing multi-needle machines, 6 needle, 10 needles, or even 15 on up needles. And that means that you don't have to stop and rethread every time you got to change colors. All of that is a lifesaver and is a time saver. And I have to admit, for me, it didn't take very long for me to switch from a single needle machine to a multi-needle machine. And I'm talking about a matter of months, not years, a matter of months. I got my SE 1900, I believe, in February of 2020, just before the pandemic was declared. So I didn't get it to make masks, but I did make masks with them. I got it. It just was a coincidence because I wanted that for a hobby. And so I got my SE 1900 machine and I used it. And of course, I used it to do masks and things like that. Initially, that was the big push there. And I was embroidering on my masks as well as stitching and putting them together and doing all of that with my SE 1900. but I've always wanted a bigger hoop. I started off with a machine that I kept for maybe a week that was a 4x4, and I realized quickly I didn't want that machine because the embroidery field was way too small for me. The SE 1900 embroidery field is a 5x7, which was a whole lot more acceptable. But even now that I've had my machine 5 years now, uh, um, I've outgrown that, totally outgrown that as far as a single needle machine. And even with my multi-needle machine, which is an 8x14, I'm still outgrowing it because I've always said I like big. Bigger is better. So for me, the bigger it is, the happier I am. But it is good to have multi-needles. For me, I always liked intricate, beautiful patterns that required multiple colors. I can remember stitching on my SE 1900 a design that had 20 thread changes. And I did every one of them, 20 thread changes. And I did several designs like that. And it didn't take me long to realize that I really wanted a machine with more needles. So from February of 2020 until I believe May of 2020 is when I bought a multi-needle machine, a different brand. I kept that one until January of 21, and then that's when I switched over to my brother that I have now. And I've had my brother machine ever since. So I went straight from a single needle, and like I said, within months, I was using a 10 needle machine. And if I had the money and the space at the time, I would have gone even bigger than that because I don't like changing thread. Even now that I have a 10 needle machine, to be perfectly honest about it, I think and wish I had a 15 needle machine or a 16 needle machine because I'm still making things and using intricate designs and stuff that requires a lot of colors. And I would love to be able to thread my machine one time and be able to stitch everything without having to go back and change threads, even though it's not that complicated. It's easy to do, but, that's just how I feel about it. So that's one thing, the threads. And the high speed. Now, the high speed is not that big a deal for me because the machine will stitch up to 1,000 stitches per minute, my PR 1055X, and I've never had it up that high, ever. I think the highest speed I've ever put mine at has been 800. I usually average anywhere between 5 and 7. And if I'm doing some very thin material like a silk or satin or freestanding lace or something along that line, if I'm using metallic thread or something like that, then I put it down at its lowest speed, which is 400. And I have done something, and I cannot remember what the project was, and I did not realize that my machine, it adjusted itself down to 300. And I was shocked because I didn't know the machine would go down that low. And I did not do that. The machine adjusted itself down to 300. My PR 1055X. I don't know if anybody else has had that experience where the machine adjusted the thread itself, its speed itself. But mine did. It went down to 300. I didn't even know it could go down that low, but it did. So that was a surprise to me. But like I said, I have never stitched it at 1,000. Now, Justin, when I was in Maryland, that came and worked on my machine, he did crank it up to 1,000, and it did very well. But I'm not brave enough to do that. I wish I was, because you could really get done with a lot of projects quicker. I just don't have the confidence to do that. The other thing that is beneficial is the camera and positioning system, which is really, really great. Now, it does talk about Wi-Fi and software integration, but that is when you're moving on up to another machine, because the 1055X does not do the Wi-Fi. And then it also mentions business tools, which we'll talk about in a minute. So what's nice to have versus what is essential. Now, a lot of things that I mentioned that is for the experienced person, those things are nice to have. They're not essential to do a good job with embroidery, because you can use your single needle machine and you can use your SE 1900 or a machine similar to that, your PE 900s, your PE 700s, all of those machines. People have used those machines for years in a business capacity and have done well with it. So it's not like you have to have all these bells and whistles in order to maintain a good array of designs and projects, and either for hobby or for a business. You can do that with your single needle machine. I did do multiple orders with my single needle machine, my SE 1900. I can remember having an assembly line making masks for doctors' offices and lawyers' offices and what have you, back in the COVID days, where I had material cut out. People, my son and his friend would come over and help cut stuff and assemble stuff, and I would stitch it and sew it and so forth and so on to get the order out. So it can be done, because I've done it and many other people have as well. So you don't have to have a multi-needle machine to be successful, to be able to do multiple orders and what have you, but it is nice to have one, or a single needle machine that has a larger hoop size. But that is what I was talking about, something that is not necessarily essential. So what I decided to do is to talk about the difference between the machines that have just come out. And those machines, you guys know, are the Brother 1060W and Celeste. There's a Celeste sewing machine and a Celeste embroidery machine. And I can't remember what the other little letters, the SE1s or SE2s or something, but you have the Celeste, Celeste, and one is a sewing machine only, and then the other one is an embroidery machine only. And then you also have the new 10 needle machine. So those are the three new Brother machines. Now, I got a chance to look at John Deere today to talk about a new Tajima machine that is a 15 needle machine, and it is, they're touting it using AI. And I don't remember the specific name other than the fact that it's a Tajima, but it was really interesting to see, because it will adjust the tension for everything that you sew. And I'm going to see if I can pull that up right quick so I can tell you the name of it. But that's Tajima, and it's not telling you the price, of course. If I got the right one, I think I have. It is the Tajima SAI. And that's probably it, because it's the SAI. AI is the key name, and it is a one of a kind piece for embroidery. And the main thing that I got out of it is the fact that it will adjust itself to your tension automatically. You don't have to know diddly about how to adjust anything, but it will do it for They would do it. Hey, Marina, how you doing, girl? Thank you for stopping by. But she put in here the new Tajima is $30,000. Yes, I figured it was very expensive, and they also said it weighs 206 pounds or 9 pounds. So it's a big machine. It's nothing to play with. But that new machine, if anyone is interested in that, they did mention that it is not for a hobby, it is for a business because of everything that it will do. But if nothing else, you don't ever have to worry about the tension being off. That's the time saver, and that is the biggest benefit that they mentioned about that particular machine. And again, Marina says that it is $30,000, and I do not doubt that. But let me tell you, there are some machines that are running, as we all know, for 25. So an extra $5,000 for that particular machine, if I was in that arena, would not be a bad investment because you can almost guarantee that the stitches are going to be perfect because the machine itself, because of its AI mechanism, will adjust the tension for any project, any fabric, whatever. I digress because I don't know anything other than what I saw today. And I'm so glad, Marina, you were able to give us a little price on that particular machine. But I just thought I would bring that up because that is a new machine that came out as well. So I guess September is the month for new machines. I guess. I don't know. But I just wanted to mention that machine too. And Marina, you said you're thinking brother must be seeing that customers are not happy with the launch of the new, not so new PR 1060. Today you received a new email survey regarding multi-needle, and you completed the last one too. I got a chance to do a survey as well, Marina. I remember you telling us that you did one in the past, and I got a survey to fill out as well a few months back, and I filled it out. I'm pretty sure they were already working on this new machine. I am surprised that they are surprised that people aren't as enthused about their new machine as they probably thought we would be, because why? I don't want to knock it, because it does have some good features, and I'm going to talk about it in a minute. So I'm not knocking it, but I do want to mention the fact that the bells and whistles and the changes and the upgrades that came with this new machine is not what I thought it would be. And that's a little disappointing for me, because I know I had my hopes up that they would come out with a machine that had a bigger embroidery feel, as well as recognizing the mighty hoops. And this does not do that. So that is very disappointing to me in that respect. But it is what it is. So if any of us remember any of the machines in the early 2000s, I don't, because I wasn't embroidering back then, but some of you may have some of these machines. They talk about the Brother Inovus 4000D, which came out in 2003, 2004. And it was one of the earliest combo sewing and embroidery machines. And it also had a Disney design built in, color touchscreen, and the USB connectivity. So those are some of the older machines. And it also had moved up to the 5000D, came out in 06 and 07. And they expanded the embroidery field and improved the editing features, and they had more built-in design. Bernina came out with something as well. They had the Artista 200E and the 730. Genoma came out with the Memory Craft in 01 and the Memory Craft 300E in 03. And Husqvarna had theirs. Now, all of these are beginning machines that were computerized and on the cusp of giving us something extra to be excited about, with the touch screens, the USBs, and the design elements and all of that. Foth came out with their machine as well in the early 2000s. 2000s and 2008. So those are some of the other machines that came out other than Brothers that gave us touch screens and direct PC or USB sticks, larger embroidery fields, and then the ability to resize, rotate, and combine designs and have decorative stitches and what have you included. So now we're going to fast forward to where we are now and look at the PR1060W and compare it to the PR1055X. And I did a comparison chart side by side just to see what the main differences are. And the PR55X and the 60 both are 10 needle machines. The 55 has strong built-in capabilities. However, it says the 1060 has enhanced even further with more designs and fonts. It has well over 1,200, I believe, designs and 14 fonts and monograms and what have you. That's impressive, but do we use them all? I don't know. The alignment and positioning, they state in the 55 is standard, but the 1060 has real-time camera superimposing or impositions. Now, I have not seen the machine, but what I've read and heard as far as the advertisement, it sounds very similar. It's not a projector like you get with the Luminaire and the Avenir, but it is very close because it says it's real time and it does put the camera on your fabric or on your garment or whatever you're doing where the design is, so you can have precise pinpoint where the needle will be, which sounds very much like projection, but they're not calling it that. Now that is intriguing to me because that's what has drawn me to the Luminaire. That was one of the things that I loved about the Luminaire was the projector, and the Luminaire as well as the Avenir has that projection. The Avenir has a larger field for the projection versus the Luminaire, but they both have it. The 55X quilting sash automation, it says is manual or you use external tools for the 55X. What that means, the way I understood it, if you're doing edge-to-edge quilting, then you're constantly re-hooping unless you're using the sash hoop where you can literally take the magnets up, pull it down, put the magnets back on and stitch and then keep moving that way manually. So you have to make sure that you're connecting your points and everything, which I have yet to figure that out correctly. With the 60, it has what they call auto split sashing up to 118 inches. So you can program it into the machine to do its continuous sashing in order to do your edge-to-edge quilting. That's my understanding of how that works. I may be wrong, and if I am, and if anybody on here knows differently, please correct me. I don't mind that because like I said, I have not seen the machine personally. I've not seen a demo personally. I'm just going by what I have read and what I have seen as far as the advertising. Now, I have to tell you, that is one of the things, well, those are two things, the superimposing of the design and the sashing up to 118 inches is intriguing to me as far as that machine. Now, is that something that is worth me trading in my machine for that one and starting all over with payments? I don't think so, but it is interesting. It is very interesting. The next thing is connectivity and remote monitoring. Well, with the 55X, it has the basic USB external options, whereas with the 1060, as Jeanette mentioned in here a minute ago, it's wireless LAN. So you can do everything wireless. I did not know or didn't remember that the 1055X was not wireless or uh, Wi-Fi. And here Jeanette says the Brother 1055X does not connect to Wi-Fi. And I found that out the hard way because I bought my scan and cut with the sole purpose of sending the design from the scan and cut to my 1055X. And then after I got the machine, because the gentleman that I spoke to when I was buying it did not clarify that for me. And once I got the machine, I realized that I could not do that. And I was not happy because that was one of the main reasons I got my scan and cut. But nonetheless, I digress. So it's good to be able to do it wireless LAN. It also mentions the MyStitch monitor plus the PE Design 11 link up. Now I have to tell you, the 1055X supports the Stitch monitor, and I do use mine. I rarely leave my machine unattended. However, there are times where I have actually left the room and I had my Stitch monitor on, and I like it. I use it. It's useful. It does definitely have use to it for it. I don't stay away from my machine that often, but when on some occasions I have to leave the room for whatever reason it might be, I have been able to set it up and leave the room and have my Stitch monitor with me. Now, it does have its limitation because it will only tell you where you are in your design as far as the stitching is concerned. It'll give you every area that it's stitching on. You know how many minutes you have left. You know exactly where it's going. But when you have an issue, it's not going to tell you what the issue is. It says thread break. It may very well not be a thread break. It could be anything. It's going to stop and it's going to say thread break. That's going to make you look at your machine, but it doesn't tell you that something else may have happened and it is not necessarily a thread break. But it's something that I have found to be useful. So I do use my Stitch monitor and I love it. The other thing is says the PE Design 11 link up. Now, I don't think we have a link up per se with the PE Design 11. However, they do mention this allows you to connect up to 10 machines to your current brother. Like the brother that I have, I could get 10 more machines, 1 more machine, 2 more machine or whatever, and link them up. I can do that with the one I have. That is already part of the features with the 1055X. So that's not new. The only thing that is new that they're mentioning in that line is the wireless LAN. It's not just, it's not my Stitch monitor because the 1055 does that, and it's not the PE Design 11. So they point it out, but it's not new to the 1055. The other thing that they mentioned, built-in design library. They said the 1055X is comprehensive, and it is. They have a lot of designs. They have stippling. They have quilt blocks. They have Tromputo, I'm pretty sure. They have my design center. They have everything. Now, you get more of it with the 1060W. You get 1,184 designs, 140 frames, 54 font styles, and there's so many monograms fonts that come with it. So you get a lot more, but is more better. I don't know. So those are the things. That's the comparison chart side by side comparing your 1055X to your 1060. Now, have I named anything that would make you want to go out and get the 1060W? Put it in the comment if you're excited about it and you say, yes, I think I would like to get this machine if it fits in my budget, or I wish it fits in my budget, or what have you. put it in the comment, because I would like to know who really is interested in getting this machine. I have to tell you, for me, I've not seen anything yet that would make me switch at this moment. Because I think I mentioned it earlier. I want it to read Mighty Hoops, and I want a larger embroidery feel. Now, it talks about how useful are these upgrades that the 1060W provides. As far as time saving, the real-time alignment and auto sashing means less setup time, and I agree with that. I love the auto sashing. Fewer mistakes and more output efficiency. You can line things up a whole lot quicker and be more proficient with it. The precision, because of the camera overlay, ensures spot-on registration, especially useful for multi-hoop or detailed projects. So I love that part. Your productivity and scalability. They talk about wireless tracking and multi-machine connectivity for streamlined workflows. And that's ideal for growing your embroidery business. Now, from what I know about the 1055X, that's not new. We can do the same thing with the 1055X. And it also mentions the creative powerhouse. With the expanded fonts and designs, you'll have more creative flexibility built right into the machine, which is great to have more, but are we even using what we already have? I know for a fact I don't use all that I already have, so adding to it is not going to be a deal breaker for me. And Maureen said, raise your hand if you use the designs in your machine. I don't think I've even used the Disney's design. Oh, no. And that, you must be talking about your Luminaire, Marina. If you don't have children, or if you're not, selling to children or anything like that, your Disney designs are going to be limited. Not to say that adults don't like Disney, because I have bought Disney designs and have embroidered them on some shirts specifically for myself because they're cute. But as far as me using them a lot or extensively, I don't, because even with my great-granddaughter, which is 3 years old now, I have not been told that she's into Disney. So I've not really done a lot of Disney for her, because they have so many other things that they look at now that compete against Disney. Disney is kind of on the bottom list with some of these young children. So, it's not something that really makes the round that and Carol said, did they give one more inch, but not enough to get excited about? Actually, it's not an inch larger, because the hoops that come with the 1055X actually is an 8x14. The Mighty hoop is an 8x13. But the hoop that comes with your machine, if you have the PR1055X, it is actually an 8x14. It's really not an 8. It's 7 7/8 of an inch by, I believe, 13 7/8 of an inch. But anyway, to round it up, is 8x14. So we didn't get anything any bigger. We did not get an extra inch at all. And Pearl, you say you use some of yours for your grandbabies, which is great. Like I said, if you got kids, then it works. And Marina is telling you, Pearl, that let me see, where the 1055X is 8x14. And Jeanette, you said you have to be careful about the Disney designs because of copyright. You can't sell items with these designs. That is correct, because of the copyright. However, as Pearl was saying, and as I mentioned as well, I have used Disney designs for myself. And if I was to use it again, it would be for my great-grand kids. No, I would not put myself out there and cheat and try to make a to sell them or not. Now, someone had mentioned to me before that it won't read a Disney design, your 1055X. That is not correct. It will read a Disney design because I have used my 1055X to stitch the pocket of a shirt, and it's stitched out. I bought the design from Embroidery Design, actually. They sell many of them. It's up to you if you're going to use it correctly, but I have bought Disney designs off Embroidery Design. They're not very expensive. You can get Disney designs off of Brothers' site, iBroidery, which are much more expensive. But when you buy them off of there, I don't think you can use them on your PR1055X. I think they have put some type of code in it where you can't. But since I didn't buy mine from them, I have not had an issue using mine. If you use Artspira subscription, you can get Disney designs from them. And I'm pretty sure you can use them as well on your 1055X machine or any other brother machine, I think. Hi, Pearl and Faker, how are you? And Carol, you said you've been using your Mighty Hoop so much you forgot about the other hoop side. I know, I know. That's right. It's easy to do that, and I probably would not have remembered that the regular hoop is 8x14, other than the fact that I have used it to do patches, which takes me back to the feature that they have about the auto split sashing and the multiple, where you could send multiple designs to your hoop to line them up. You can do that with the 1054, 1055X. I've done it. You using Brilliance, you set it up, it works. I've done it. So it can be done with what we already have. And Faker, you said your granddaughter just went to Disney and wanted a Disney shirt, but you didn't want to take no chances. You've heard people were turned around because the shirts were not authentic. I heard that as well. And so she is asking, is this true? I don't know for a fact. I honestly don't know. I have heard it just like you, but I do not know if it's the fact. But I'm like you. I wouldn't want to take the chance and have the child feelings be hurt and everything and get turned around. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the positioning and alignment to see if we can get any more clarification on it with the 1055X and the 1060. And they said that the 1055X already has a good positioning tool, but the 1060 takes it further with the real-time camera preview. And that means that you can see your design superimposed right on the fabric before you stitch. Now, when I read that, to me, that sounds very similar to what the Luminaire does, because I have a question mark here that says, is this like the Luminaire and the Avenir? If anybody has seen any of these machines in 1060, probably not. I would like to know if that is the same. It takes the guesswork out, so it says, and it is perfect for placement, especially for beginners and what have you. That's the one thing that drew me to Luminaire in the first place. So that would be something that is very intriguing for me with the new 1050, the new 1060. But is that enough to buy? Number 2, the quilt sashing automation. Now, you have to rely upon software or manual hooping for the long quilt sashing with your 1055X. I know that for a fact. With the 1060, it introduces the auto split sashing up to 118 inches. It automatically divides your design for the hoop size you're using. And that means that quilt borders and table runners and big projects are easier to use. To me, that sounds like it works with the, it works if you were doing edge to edge. That's what that sounds like to me. That's intriguing to me as well. And that would be great for people that do a lot of quilting, because that would eliminate the need to send it out to a long arm. You could do your own edge to edge quilting on your machine a lot easier. We can do that with our machines that we have now. It's just a little bit more complicated, but it can be done. Becky has done it. Deborah, which isn't on here yet, has done it. I know that they are in my Zoom group, and I know for a fact that they have used their machines to do that. Matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken, Deborah used her Luminaire to do it. And Becky, you have to correct me whether or not you used your 10 needle, your multi-needle, or your single needle to do your edge to edge. But I know that both of them have already done edge to edge without having to have the 1060. And one of these days I'm going to learn how to do it with my machine, but right now I have not figured that out yet. But that's also intriguing to me, like I said. It goes on to talk about the connectivity in the remote, which I've already talked about. And my note that I wrote is that the 1055X can hook up to 10 machines already, and the fact that I use the stitch monitor. So that part is not new. Now, my question is, would you trust your machine enough to walk away while it is stitched? And I've already told you I have. So I use my stitch monitor. It doesn't bother me at all. I don't stay away from my machine very long, but I have used it quite a bit, and I'm happy with it. And Becky, you said that is correct, and she used her 10 needle to do her edge to edge. And Jeanette said that, which we know, the 1055X has the camera too, which can, now we use the crosshair with the camera, and you can pinpoint your needle where you want it with the crosshair and the camera. I've done that many, many times. I have to tell you a story. Recently, I had an order, an Etsy order, and I'm going to be absolutely honest about it. I got the order. It came through. I did not go onto Etsy and look at the whole order. I looked at it on my phone. It told me what they wanted and how many they wanted, the design they wanted, everything. I did the order. When I completed the order, I had gotten the tiles, folded them up, and put them in the bag and had sealed it, and went on to Etsy finally so I could go ahead and get the label and mail it out. That's when I actually looked at the order. Don't ask me why I did that. I have no idea. But that was my fault that I did not go in and check it all the way through. And when I went in there to get the label, I read the order, and I realized they had asked for personalization as well. I hadn't done the personalization because I didn't know they wanted that. I just did the regular design. Oops. I was not going to redo that order all over again, the needle, the thread, the time, the all of that. Thank goodness for the camera. Thank goodness for the crosshair, all of that. I rehooped the tile, and I was able to use my camera and my crosshair to reposition everything so I could put the personalization exact centered in the exact spot where it should be, and stitched it out absolutely perfectly. When I unhooped it, it looked as if it had all been done at the same time. The only thing that would be different was that wasn't even different because of the stabilizer. I was able to take all of that stuff off. So nobody is the wiser that I had to go back and redo it or finish doing it. But that was because of the fact that I had the camera and the crosshair, and I was able to line it up perfectly. So yes, we are able to do that with our 1055X machine. Now, if you had the projection or whatever it is that they're using, I know with the Avenir and the Luminaire, they actually have the projection where it lights up on your fabric and the design, and I mean it's all illuminated and beautiful, and you know exactly where to put the needle and stuff. Yeah, that's what I wanted. That's what drew me to the Luminaire. That was the main number one thing that I fell in love with the Luminaire. Number two was the size of the hoop. But we can do that with our 10 needle machine. You have to be practice. I would say you would have to practice because it does require you to push buttons and move it around and so forth and so on. It's not going to, you can't just push one button and bam, there it is. You have to adjust it and everything, but it works. It's possible to do. I've done it, and I've done it more than once. That's why I knew I could do it when I saw it, because I said, dog blast it. This is what I got to do to fix it. And that's what I did. And I fixed it. So it worked out well. So if you have a 10 needle machine, or even if you have a machine that has that camera and the crosshair, you can do that. You can do that. And Carol, you said, if projects get too automated by our machines, I think we will lose the understanding of the art. That's always going to be an issue because we are now in the era of AI. And as I mentioned to you earlier about the machine, the Tajima machine, I think it's Tajima SAI, or yeah, SAI, Tajima SAI, the $30,000 machine that uses AI pretty much to correct the tension. They have an apparatus that hooks onto the machine on all the needles, and I don't know how it works, but it's able to recognize the fabric and the design and your thread, and it adjusts automatically. You don't have to do anything with it according to the demo that I saw, and it will adjust the tension. So it eliminates error. And for those of us that may or may not be good at adjusting tension, that part is taken away from us. Now, I'm not upset about that, but it could get to the point where they don't need us because that's where they're heading to. That's where they're heading to. And then as you were saying, Carol, it would pretty much take away the skill, because if everything is just push a button and walk away, you're not learning anything. You're not developing a skill. We're developing our skills when we're embroidering because we're constantly being challenged. Every time we do a different project, you are being challenged because you have to make sure that you're selecting everything correctly and hooping it correctly and all of that every time you stitch something out. It's not a one and done. Everything that you put on there, you still, even if you do the same thing over and over again, you still need to check it. You still need to make sure it's centered correctly. You still have to make sure the tension is correctly. You got the needle is correct. The needle isn't bent. The needle isn't dull. The thread is not going to break. All of that stuff we have to pay attention to. And if we don't do that, we're not going to have a good project. So if AI takes care of all of that, what are we going to have left to do? I don't know. But that's just something to think about. It also says creative power and built-in library, where it says 1,184 built-in designs, 140 frames, pattern, 40 lettering fonts, and 14 monogram style. That's okay, but like the question was being asked, how many people actually use the stuff that's on our machine? It's good to have it. But are we using it? Now, I have to tell you, I use my fonts on my machine probably more than anything, because there are times when, especially if I'm doing something for myself or if it's a gift, I may have put a design on, and after I have it on there, decide, oh, I want to put a name on here, or I want to put a letter on here, I want to do something to it. And then you hit the little add button, and then you go in there and get your fonts and fiddle around with it, and get the right font and place it and everything, and then stitch it out. Where initially you didn't plan to do that, because had I planned to do it, I would have done it in Brilliance and had it all at one time. I've done that many times where I've decided I wanted to put something else on there. Or have you ever stitched anything out? It's still hooped, and you looked at it and you said it's too much dead space. Let me add something here to balance things out. I've done that too. You go into your machine. I don't unhoop it. I don't go take the thing back to Embrilliance and put something else on there. I go into my machine and fiddle with it and see what I can add to it, some little decorative whatever, and add it to the design to balance it out and make it look, better, or whatever it is that I'm trying to achieve. And therefore, I have used what was already in my machine. I've done that, and we have the capability of doing that. And I hope if you guys have not done that you will give it a try, because you can do it right there on your machine without having to unhoop it, put it back, go back to Embrilliance or whatever you use, and add the design and put it back in there and fiddle and faddle around with it. You don't have to do all of that. You can do a lot of those things, adjustments and what have you, right there on your machine. And who got a glass of wine? Jenny did. Jenny got her glass of wine. Cheers. Cheers to you, Jenny. And Carrie, you said they should take most of the designs off the machines and use the memory space to put in software to recognize my videos. I agree with that 100%. I agree with that. Marita said, I think brother not including the wide table and hat who is a big miss too. Did they take that out? I guess I missed that. I was too busy trying to figure out what they added that I didn't look at what they took away. But that's probably left up to your dealer, because I got my hat hoop and my table when I bought my machine that quote unquote the dealer threw in. So I think that would still be something that is left up to your dealer to throw in as an enticement. Hopefully that's the case, because that would not be good if they're making you pay $20-some-odd thousand, which I guarantee you that's what this new machine is going to cost. Plus you have to pay for the table and the hat hoop. That's not cool. That's not cool at all. That is not cool. You have to pay for the table and the hat. Excuse me. That wine just giving me hiccups. Let me get another sip. That's not cool at all. That is not cool, because I got mine with my machine. And I ain't paying no $25 for it either. So that is not cool. Now, they also said that this machine that they have now, they're really trying to push it for people that are running an Etsy shop or some type of business, and they want to upgrade, save time, reduce mistakes, and increase their profit, because you're supposed to have faster production, better accuracy, which would be mean more orders and completed with less stress. So that's what they're trying to promote. This, I guess they're thinking that they're going to be competing against the quote unquote commercial machine. But if that's the case, they missed the boat. You got to add some needles, some embroidery space, and mighty hoops. You have to enlarge your embroidery field. You have to increase your needles, and you have to add embroidery, the mighty hoop recognition. That's the only thing that's going to put them in competition with the commercial machines. Now, you can say this is for commercial use, run an Etsy shop, all of that. But if you don't add those three components, it's not competing. Not to say that it's not a good machine, because I'm like Jeanette, I love my machine. But if I had the money and the space, basically, I wouldn't go and get another brother machine. I'm just being honest about it. I don't see myself investing in another brother machine because they're not offering me what I need. And what? I need a larger embroidery space. I need more needles, and I need it to recognize my mighty hoops because that's what I use. Now, is this a good investment for people that want to stick with brother and the bells and whistles and all of the wonderful things that come with it? Because I'm not knocking it. I love the fact that it does is the threading, the self-threading. I even love the fact that it uses the regular flathead needles versus the round ones, because I've used the machine that has the round needles, and you have to make sure that needle's in there straight. You don't just stick it in there and go. You have to make sure that the eye is turned correctly. So that's more time. With the home hobby needles or home needles, pretty much is what they call them, the flat side. It only goes in there one way, so you can't put it in wrong. So that saves time. The space, the size. I mentioned the new Tajima machine weighs 200 pounds. This machine weighs 97. So that's a huge difference if your space is limited. And so you have to, it's a give and take situation. You have to decide what is most important to you. And our embroidery machines getting too complicated. If you felt overwhelmed by all the bells and whistles of the latest machines, and you're wondering whether all these fancy things that occur are worth it, then you have to stop and think about, what do you really want? What works for you? Maybe you don't even want a multi-needle machine, which is cool. You don't necessarily have to have a multi-needle machine to be successful, but your hobby or your business or whatever, you don't have to have that. But I tell you, it does give you some it saves you some time. For me, I love the auto needle threading and trimming. I use my built-in lettering that I said. I love to be able to edit things on the machine. And you can get the mighty hoop or dime hoops, all these different magnetic hoops and stuff for the machines. You can get those things. So those are things that make it convenient for me. And I love that. But, and it's worth it for me. Is it worth it for you? I don't know. That's something you have to decide on yourself. As far as the speed, that's not that big of a deal. The camera and positioning system is really good. The Wi-Fi software integration is not that big a deal to me. And as far as the business tool and being able to connect it to different machines or additional machines, at this point is not that big of a deal. Now, Jeanette, I want to ask you a question. Since you have 3 brother machines, have you connected your 3 machines together? Because the brother machine can do that up to 10. I'm just curious, have you done that or even thought about doing that? Because we do have that capability with our PR1055X. I'm not sure about the 6-needle machine, but I do know you can do it with the 10-needle machine. So hopefully you'll answer that question. And Jenny, you said your wide table came with your 10-needle machine, but you did purchase a hat frame. Just don't ask me if I used it yet. We're going to have to do that. And Jeanette, you said you haven't done that. Okay. And, if which you know this, if you're stitching the same thing, you have an order where you have to do 50 of the exact identical things, you can connect those together and set it up that way. I know that I'm pretty sure that you're aware of that, but you say you like using them individually. And if I'm not mistaken, you can use them individually or connect them, and just out of curiosity, that's why I was asking, because I do know for a fact that is one of the features that we do have on the PR1055X. If I had another machine, it would depend upon the business. If I'm doing business enough, I probably would connect it. And you were saying, yes, you are right. Okay. So, it's an individual choice, but I just wanted to make sure that everybody was aware that you can do that with our machine, with the 10 needle machine that we currently have now. So I wanted to also I'm going to talk about the Celeste and compare them in a minute. But before I get there, I wanted to address another thing that that may be of interest. Hey, my son is on here next to you, LLC. Hey, how you doing? And Carol said, I think I heard that the 1060 comes with the tabular tape. It does. That is the this thing here you get. Now this is a Mighty Hoop one, but brother has one. And the new machine comes with, I think, 4 hoops, regular hoops, and this. But I guess it's not coming with the regular wide table. And the reason, I use this practically every time I stitch because it helps with the vibration, and I love it. And like I said, this one is a Mighty Hoop one, and it can extend, but I haven't ever used it extended. I think I have to unscrew it to extend it if I'm doing pants legs or sleeves or something like that, which apparently I haven't done. See, it can be extended out, and then I always use it this way. And mostly, to be honest about it, I use it for the stability. And like I said, this one is a Mighty Hoop one. I got it from Mighty Hoop. But brother has one that you can purchase, and if you get this new machine, it comes with it, this apparatus there. It's called a tabular table, and I think they're adding that in lieu of the big table. And I just thought about probably one of the reasons they're not giving the big table, because I have heard and seen people on Facebook say that they don't use their table. It's in the way. I don't need it. I don't want it. I don't know why we have it, and so forth and so on, which I think is a huge mistake. I use my table. Maybe they don't do anything that would require you to use it. But for me, since I do jacket backs a lot, and I also do big towels, bath towels, beach towels, and I've done quilts and heirloom quilts and blankets and what have you, that table is a lifesaver. So I use my table. I would not give my table away. I would not sell my table, and I am so thankful that I have my table. Both of the tabular table that I just showed you and the big wide table that comes with it is very useful. And I have to tell you something else. I have the new cap frame that is supposed to be easier to hoop, and it comes in 2 pieces, and I can't remember what they call it. And that's what I got with my machine, but I wish I was able to have them both. Maybe one day I will buy the other one. And the reason being is because I want to get another hat hoop. I want to get the Gen X. I think it's Gen X or Gen Tech, one of them, cap hoop. And you can only use it with the original cap hoop. You can't use it with the one that I have. And that's disappointing. And you say, why do you want that one? Because you got a hoop and it works, and it does, and I've used it and it works. The only reason why I want the Gen X is because you can get much closer to the brim. I looked at a video today, and I noticed how far away from the brim the design was that was being put on a hat. And from what I've been told, because I really haven't done a lot of hats to sell, but what I've been told is that men tend to like the designs to be close to the brim, and we can only get within an inch and a quarter or something along that line to the brim. That's about as close as we can get to the brim. So that's a lot of space in there. And for some reason, it seems like men like to have it closer. And yes, Carol, it is tubular. You're right. I said tabular, like you said tabular, but it is the tubular table. You are 100% correct. And you said when you need your table, you really need your table, and you do. You do. And Jeanette said when she got her second needle, she got the wide hat driver hoop. Yes, I wish I had both hat hoops, and I don't. So maybe one day I will do that. And Jeanette says she uses her table all the time, and so do I. I use my table. Now, Jenny was asking the question, is that the only reason for the Wi-Fi? And I'm assuming you mean as far as connecting the machines. And the answer to that question is no. You can use the Wi-Fi to send your designs from your computer to your machine, or from your scan and cut to your machine. That's one of the main reasons for the Wi-Fi. That eliminates you having to use your USB. Now, one thing I want to remind people, because I'm bad at it, you can save your designs to your machine as well, which will cut down on you having to use your USB a lot, especially if you use the design more than once. I tend to forget to save my designs to my machine. I don't really know how many designs it will hold, but it'll hold a lot. But I tend to forget. And I'm going to make it. I had this very same order I was talking about. I had a heck of a time finding the USB stick that had that design that they wanted on it. I knew I had it, and I knew it was on a design on a USB stick, but I didn't know for the life of me where it was. And I found it, thank goodness, and I was able to do the design. And I wanted to kick myself because I said, this is a design that I put on Etsy to sell and make more of. That should have been something that I should have saved to my machine, so it would be there all the time whenever I wanted. Everything that I have on my Etsy shop should be saved on my machine. I mean, that's the only thing that makes sense. But I wasn't thinking to do that. So going forward, that's what I do. I try to remember to save designs to my machine, especially if they are ones that I think that I'm going to be using more than once, because that cuts down on you having to keep using your USB. And be sure you have a dongle in your machine, because you don't want to have to keep taking that USB in and out of your LCD panel, because it can ruin it. And if you mess up your LCD panel, where the USB goes in, you have to replace the whole thing. And Justin told me, which is the repair guy in the DMV area, that it costs a lot of money to replace. So keep that in mind. And Jeanette, you said the Gen X hat hoop has a piece that will trick the machine that is using a regular hoop. It has a piece you put on the machine along with the hoop. Exactly. And that's the main reason why I want it. That is the main reason why I want it, because that way you can stitch closer to the hoop. They have some hacks, and I was told about a couple of hacks. I'm not going to do it because I don't want to mess my machine up. But that particular uh, little apparatus that you get with the Gen X hoop is safe to use, and you can definitely stitch closer to the brim, but you have to use the regular wide or bigger hoop or whatever it's called before it will fit. It won't fit on our little bitty hoop thing that we have that makes hooping easier, and it does, but it won't work on that. So that's a disadvantage, unfortunately. So before I get to comparing the Celeste with the other machine, I just wanted to talk just briefly about looking at a used machine versus a new machine. You know, should you buy new or used? And that is an important thing to think about, because everything costs so much money. People are upgrading and selling their machines because they thought they wanted to stitch, and then they found out that they didn't like it, and so forth and so on. So the opportunity to buy a used machine is there, and the temptation is there. And so let's go over that quickly. And I'm just going to talk about buying new, buying used, pros and cons. When you buy new, you're getting a few key things that are hard to beat, and that is the warranty and the dealer support. So if something goes wrong, you got your backup. The latest features like Wi-Fi, camera, and faster processing, because you're getting a newer machine, and you do have the peace of mind to know that the machine hasn't already been used and abused. So for beginners, buying a new machine usually is the best choice because it comes with training, support, and a safety net. And for business owners, it has the reliability of a brand new machine, and that often outweighs the extra cost. Now, this is just cursory. Buying used, however, can save you a lot of money. Sometimes if you're just a hobbyist who barely touched their machine before sometimes there are hobbyists that have barely touched their machine before they decide to buy. And that's what I was saying. People buy machines, keep them, don't use them, they're still in a box or whatever, and then they want to sell it. And sometimes you can save anywhere from 30 to 60% off the price of a brand new machine. And of course, there are older workhorse machines that are still stitching beautifully that you can use, but you have to keep in mind they don't have all the latest bells and whistles. For more experienced embroiderers who already know how to troubleshoot, that could be a smart way to upgrade just by getting a used machine. But you do have risk. You don't have the warranty. You don't know how heavily it was used. You don't know actually why they're getting rid of the machine. There may be some parts or accessory missing. And with older models, it may not get the support from the manufacturer anymore. If it's been phased out, discontinued, or what have you, they may not support it. I don't know. Our SE 1900s are discontinued. I don't know if they're supported. And I'm pretty sure the Luminaire is going to be discontinued pretty soon. And who knows? People are still buying Luminaires. How long will that be supported? I don't know. But there's a middle ground. Sometimes you can buy pre-owned machines from a dealer, and then you can get a little warranty. You can have the confidence that it's been inspected and serviced, and like I said, a short warranty, and you don't have to pay the same amount of money that you would if you were buying it out and out spank brand new. But be careful with that, because they are getting these trade-ins for, I want to say, a little or nothing. And then they're turning around and selling them to make a profit. So you're not going to get it dirt cheap, but you will get it cheaper than you would if you were buying it straight out new. So just keep that in mind and see if it's worth buying the used one or buying a brand new one. Now, if it's a demo machine or something like that, it may be worth going ahead and getting the demo machine because you know for a fact that one has not been used a lot. When you're buying a trade-in, I don't know, buyer beware. I would just definitely make sure that you have it checked out before you purchase it. Do not buy a machine without checking out the stitch count. When was it last serviced? How many stitches is on it? And actually seeing it work. And I would have it checked out by someone that you trust as well to make sure that it is in good condition. And Jenny said, look for the demo first. Definitely look for the demo first, because that way you'll pretty well be have confidence that it is pretty well taken care of. In case you're buying a used one, you're going to get the lower price. You may get a gem, and you may get the affordable workhorse. Like I said, check out the hours, the stitch count, service records. Make sure it has all of the accessories, the hoops, the frames, the manual. I was reading online today where someone had bought a machine. I had never heard of the machine before, and she didn't know where to start. And some machines, if you don't have the warrant, if you don't have the manual or something to tell you what the steps are at first to even get the thing to come on and do anything, you can't do anything with it. I know that for a fact because I had one, I tried, and it wouldn't do a darn thing until I got some guidance. So if you don't have a manual, you can be out of luck. However, it's possible to find a manual online. As my son that's on here now always tells me, Google is your friend. So Google it. See if there's a manual available. Find out who the manufacturer, what company manufactured that machine, and try to get in touch with that company to get a manual. Find out if it is still being supported or upgraded or anything. And all of those things before you actually invest in that machine, because you want to make sure, even though it's a used machine, it's just buying a used car. You want to make sure you're going to get some mileage out of it before you have to go and get another one. You don't want to spend the money and then find out it's a lemon. So be sure that you do that. Carol said that her machine was a demo with small stitch count, and she got half off new, and they still gave her 2 years warranty. So that's a good way to do it. Check out the demos. She also said she got a couple of hours of training free. So that is great to be able to do that. So buying used is not a bad thing. You just have to make sure that you're doing it smartly. You want to make sure that there's some type of warranty, if at all possible, and the tension, the maintenance, is it clean, all of those things, the parts, the manual, and if at all possible, is it discontinued and no longer get support? Because if it no longer gets support, then you may be out of luck if something happens to it. And Jenny, you said you purchased the Brother Surger Project Runway limited edition demo. Yes. So buying a demo would be good. Buying from someone else off of Craigslist or Amazon Facebook Marketplace and places like that, buyer beware. Not that you can't buy anything on those platforms, but I would be very cautious about that. And even with trade-ins, some dealers accept trade-ins towards a new purchase. This can be a good way to get lightly used models at a lower price while you still have dealer support. I would still have those checked out myself. I don't think I would choose to just 100% go with what the dealer is telling me unless they're offering me some type of warranty. I'm just going to be honest about it, because we don't know. Somebody brought it to them for a reason. Usually it's because they wanted to upgrade. But why did they want to upgrade? Did they want to upgrade because they wanted the latest bells and whistles? Or did they want to get rid of that machine and get a better one because that one was not working too well for them anymore? So you have to decide if that's the case. And like I said, buyers beware if you do that. Now, I did look at the Celeste CX1E, which is the embroidery machine. That is Brother's brand new embroidery machine. And I did a comparison to the Luminaire 3 and the Avenir EV1, their newest machine. The Celeste is a 2024, they say, although this is 25 and we haven't seen it before. The Luminaire XP3 came out in 23, and the Avenir came out last year in 24. So here is the comparison. The Celeste CX1E is embroidery only. I did not compare the sewing Celeste, only the embroidery one. The Luminaire 3 XP3 is a combo machine. It sews and embroiders. And the Avenir EV1 is also a combo machine, and it says sew, quilt, and embroider. The needle to arm space is standard on the Celeste CX1E. I don't know what standard means. I don't have anything that tells me what that exact space is. I want to say 12 inches, but I can't really, I don't know if that's 100% correct, but it says standard. The Luminaire is 13.1 inch, and the Avenir is 14.1 inch. The LCD panel for the Celeste is 10.1, the Luminaire is 10.1, and the Avenir LCD panel, which is touchscreen, is 10.1, so that's standard. The lighting, 10-inch LED for the Celeste, 13 inches with full spectrum for the Luminaire, and 10-inch LED for the Avenir. The embroidery area for the Celeste is 9.5 by 14 inches. So it's even bigger than that one back there. It's bigger than the brand new 1060W. Come on, brother. The Luminaire is 10 5/8 of an inch by 16. And the Avenir, they say, is similar to the Luminaire, but it is larger. It is a 10.58 by 18, if I'm not mistaken. So it's even larger. The hoop is larger. Built-in fonts for the Celeste, built-in designs and fonts, 523 designs, 26 fonts, 140 frames. Luminaire, it says 1664 designs and hundreds of fonts. 1,664 designs for both the Avenir and the Luminaire. And a large amount of fonts. Didn't give me the number. Built-in camera and scanner, Celeste does not have one. You do have a built-in camera and scanner for your Luminaire, and it fast scanning and projector features. And for the Avenir, you have the same thing that the Luminaire has, but their projection area is larger. I want to say the Luminaire is like 5 inches and the Avenir is 8. I might be wrong, so don't quote me, but I know there's size difference between the projection area with the Luminaire and the Avenir. Advanced features such as sashing and echo and so forth. It does a matrix copy, which is the same thing that the new 10 needle, the 1060W does. It does color sort, shuffle, echo, and deco fill, and it does have a 2-point positioning. Your Luminaire does edge-to-edge decorative sashing, auto fill, and it has My Design Center. The Avenir has the same as the Luminaire. Apps and connectivity for the Celeste. It does have ArtSpira and MyStitch monitor, and it is wireless. The Luminaire at ArtSpira MyStitch monitor, and you can utilize PE design. And with the Avenir, it is the same as the Luminaire. And they said that the Celeste CX1E is best for focused embroidery users wanting precision and applications. They're saying that the Luminaire hobbyists wanting and sewing and embroidery powerhouse. So they're saying hobbyists, which I guess makes sense since it is a single needle machine. You wouldn't necessarily say this is for business for any of them with a single needle machine, even though we do all know that you can make things to sell. And with the Avenir, they add into quilting. And I guess because it has a larger needle to arm space, and it is good for embroiderers needing max space and automation. And that is the reason why it does have a much larger hoop. Like I said, it is a 10 and 5/8 inch by 18, not 16. So it is larger. The Brother Celeste CX1E is optimized for embroidery performance. I mentioned the size of the hoop for large designs and without frequent rehooping. It has the smart features of the matrix copy, which means multiple designs, layout, auto color shuffling and sorting and echo stitching and all of that, and the wireless integration. So it is wireless as well. And with your Luminaire, it offers all of that. It does have an ample workspace, top tier lighting and visual, advanced scanning and projection, and rich creative tools for sashing, edge to edge fields. And it does have My Design Center capabilities. The Avenir has the largest space, which is the 14 by 14.1 needle to arm, making quilting or 3D projections projects easy. And it tackles sewing, quilting, and embroidery. And it shares Luminaire scanning projector, but the projection field is larger. And it does have other advanced tools. So that is the difference between those three machines. Now, I did ask for a comparison of prices. Now, I don't know if these prices are correct, but I did ask Chat CPT to scour the internet and come up with a price if you can. And this is what was listed. Celeste CX1E suggested manufacturer retail price $8,300. Don't quote me. Don't know if it's 100% correct. This is what I was able to research. The Luminaire 3 XP3, $23,000 manufacturer suggested retail price. However, we do know that it is no longer the #1 top embroidery machine. So you can find this machine for less than $23,000. You need to look, be diligent in your search, and try to get the best price you can. You should be able to get this machine $15K or less, hopefully. But there is absolutely no way under the sun I would pay $20,000, $23,000 for this machine, since it is going to be discontinued very soon. The Luminaire should be the best price with the best deal, with the most features, even though it is the Celeste is listed as less. The Avenir EV1, believe it or not, they said the suggested retail price is $21,000, and that's pretty on point. I have heard some people say they found it for $17,000. I don't know if that's true or not, but I just wanted to give you what I found out based upon a search by ChatGPT. So don't quote me on those prices. I don't know if they are 100% correct. They also mentioned, now I don't know if this is correct either, that More Sewing, is that the correct one? More Sewing has the best deal so far on sale. So check them out. Check them out. Now, Marina, where are you? Marina says she got her luminaire last year for $14,999, which is right around what I said, $15,000 or less. They do have trade-ins that could be less than that. I know my girlfriend Andrea, she got one last year for less than that, but it was a trade-in. So check out trade-ins, check out brand new ones, but definitely don't give anybody your $20,000 for a luminaire. I saw at an expo one year for $11,000. I almost fainted because I didn't have $11,000. Because had I had it at the time, sister girl was coming home with that machine. Trust and believe me, because that was the best price I had ever seen for a luminaire. But I don't think it was a luminaire 3 at the time when I did see it priced that, but I think it was a demo as well. However, if I was in the market to get a machine, a new machine, and it was not a multi-needle machine, I would go straight for the luminaire. Now, the Celeste is interesting. It truly is interesting to me. The only, and not even the fact that it's just embroidered. To be honest about it, I'm okay with it just being an embroidery machine, because I think I would like to have a totally different sewing machine. I'm seriously considering, you guys, I know we said you just got the Jazz 2. Yeah, I did. But I'm thinking about, I'm wanting a Juki, and I wish I had gotten a Juki. Now that I have the Jazz 2, I like my Jazz 2. I'm not going to say I love it. I like it. It does a good job. It's working well for me. But I do wish I had gotten a Juki instead. But I would want a computerized Juki because I want to do more than straight stitches. I don't want a sewing machine that only does straight stitches. Marina, you said the Celeste does not have the design center. You're correct. It does not have the design center. So if you are one that used the design center a lot, then that would be definitely a concern. Like I said, for me, my first choice still is luminaire. Nothing has come out to change my mind. I'm not even one that is saying, oh, I got to have the Avenir. 2-3 years from now, maybe, because by that time, hopefully it will have come down to a more reasonable price. If I had not gotten a luminaire between now and then I probably would be looking more at the luminaire, at the Avenir versus the luminaire, because by that time luminaire will be discontinued. Don't know if it has the support and so forth and so on. And the Avenir itself should have come down to a better, more reasonable price. That's where I'm coming from. But if I was to go out today and buy a new Brother embroidery machine, if my pocketbook could support it, it would definitely be the luminaire. Hi, Brenda. How are you? Thank you for stopping by. And you said you got your Stellar EX2 last fall and you still have to learn it. Yes, those are good machines as well. No problem with that. Carol, You said the 1055 manufacturer suggested retail price in 2023 was 22,000, and you got it for 11,000 as a demo. Yes, you're. I did not pay. I did not pay anywhere near $22,000 for mine when I bought it in 2021. I got mine at what, 14 something? And this was in 2021, but it was in Florida. So shopping around pays. When I went from Florida to Maryland, they were still selling them for 19 and 20 some odd $1,000. I'm nowhere in the world. And on top of that, to be honest about it, the Luminaire was selling for the exact same price that my 10 needle was selling for, because I was torn between the two. Literally standing in the dealership in the aisle, Luminaire on one side, the 10 needle on the other side, and I was standing there doing this, trying to decide which one to get. Do I get the Luminaire? Do I get the 10 needle? Do I get the Luminaire, 10 needle? Because I love them both. The salesperson said, get the 10 needle, which is what I actually came in there to get in the first place. And that's what I went for. And I'm glad I did it. But I have to tell you, I was head over heels in love with the Luminaire and have been ever since. I do not regret getting my 10 needle at all. But I tell you, I have yet to not love a Luminaire. It just is something about that machine. It does any and everything that I would want it to do, even though I know the Avenir does a few more extra stuff, but it's kind of like the 1060W to me. It's not enough to pay the more money to get it, just because it's the newest one. So even at this point, for me, it still would be the Luminaire for a flat needle. For me, if I was to buy another multi-needle machine, in all honesty, I know as much as I love Brothers, it would not be a Brother machine. And it's not because it doesn't have, it's not because it's a bad machine or I'm unhappy with my machine or anything like that. It's just that it doesn't offer me what I want in a multi-needle machine. And again, that is more needles, more of a embroidery feel, and I wanted to recognize mighty hoops. Those are the three things that I want in my multi-needle machine. And that would be what I would get if I ever was to buy another multi-needle machine. That machine would have to have those three elements. And Carol, you said, do others insure their machines on their homeowner's policy? I do a rider on mine for about $100 a year. That's a good thing to do. That is an excellent thing to do, because it is an expensive purchase and it needs to be protected. Marina said, if you know the machine, look to purchase from an out-of-state dealer to save paying taxes. I live in North Carolina and I didn't pay taxes when I purchased it in South Carolina or Alabama. That's a good idea as well. I don't know what they are selling the machines for in the dealership that I purchased my machine when I lived in Florida. But I tell you, I probably would check them out if I decide to buy another one, because I'm a previous customer and I know they had good prices. I might come out with a good deal. And my son lives in Florida. Go down there and purchase a machine, bring it back up here. That would be it would be worth it. It would definitely be worth it, because if you're going to save several $1,000s to get what you really want, it makes sense. Now, I tell you what my heart leans towards is that Melco, the one that Angela Jasmina had, the news one. I cannot remember the other name that goes with it. Oh my goodness, it was on the tip of my tongue and now I forgot it. But it's the brand new Melco, the one that came out last year. I saw the demo. I saw her demo it, and I just fell in love with that machine. And one of the reasons is because it's like the sister to the new Bernina that came out last year as well. And I've seen the new Bernina and I saw the demo and everything. And it's a little bit better than that one. And therefore, I know I would love it because it does everything that I want a multi-needle machine to do. It does everything. And the price is not horrible. It's less than $20,000. So it would be worth getting if I was to get a multi-needle machine. Jeanette said, I have business insurance, which covers all my equipment and more, which is absolutely perfect. Carol, I also am positive my machine is worth more than both our cars put together. Priorities, honey, we ain't gonna go there. We're not gonna go there. My dealer here in North Carolina told me that Bernina bought Melco. That's why the machine is the same. I don't doubt that. I don't doubt that because they look almost the same. He sells Bernina and had the machine in his shop. Now, was that the Bernina machine or the Melco machine he had in his shop? And if you remember the name of that new Melco machine, let me know because I cannot remember it. But it's good to know. And that's interesting because you can find Bernina dealers, but you can't find Melco dealers. Why is that? If Bernina bought Melco, why don't they sell Melcos in the Bernina shops? Because I've never seen that. My shop that I went to in Maryland was a Baby Lock Bernina shop. They started off with Baby Lock, then they added Bernina. So they sold Baby Locks and Berninas. They didn't sell brothers, but they repaired anything. So I would take my machine there before I met Justin. And I saw the new Bernina in their 16 needle machine. And then, like I said, I saw the new Melco machine where Angela Jasmina demoed on her channel. And it wasn't anything about that machine I didn't like based upon what I knew the Bernina does and what I saw her do with the Melco. And like Marina's saying, they are so similar. I knew they had to be affiliated in some manner, just like the Baby Lock and the brother. Now, nobody's saying they belong to each other or they're cousins or aunties and uncles or whatever, but the brother and the Baby Lock are they related. That's all I got to say. They are related some kind of way because my design center and IQ Designer are basically the same software. They just call it a different name, and they may have the icons with a different name and maybe in a different position, but they do the exact same thing. And thank you so much, Marina. It is the Summit. Thank you. The Bernina machine, which is the same as the Summit, the Melco Summit. I knew it was something with S, but I could not remember what it was. So yes, it's the Melco Summit is the one that I'm talking about. And Kara, I do like how the thread spools are easy to get to on a Melco. And Jeanette said Baby Lock and brother are connected. They are connected some kind of way. I don't know what it is, but I think they're manufactured in the same factory. I think I heard that somewhere. I can't swear to it, can't say that's the truth, but I think I heard that. And Jenny said, yes, they are related somehow. Brothers and sisters, aunties and uncles, there's something. They are connected some kind of way because when you see one, you see the other one, and they do the same thing. So the only difference or the biggest difference between a Baby Lock and a brother is Baby Lock costs more money. That's all I got to say on that one. They do the same thing. Why one costs more than the other one, I don't know. And Joanna, you said baby like and brother are manufactured on the same line. I believe that. Marita said, I asked if Melco made it for Bernina, and no, Bernina bought Melco a couple of years ago. Okay, so maybe the summit was already in the works and they bought it or whatever, but they are so similar. And like I said, I have actually seen the Bernina, the new 16 needle Bernina, and it has another name. Can't remember what it is. I've seen it in person, up close and personal, the demo and everything, touched it, the whole 9 yards. And that was a beautiful machine. I fell in love with that one until I saw the Summit. When I saw the Summit, I liked it even better than the Bernina. And I've not seen anything yet that I like better than that. And they're good and bad about every machine. Just like the Tajima is the supposedly the jewel of embroidery. That company itself is like the granddaddy of embroidery. The Tajima is the standard. Everything is built around Tajima. If you look at digitizing and designs and what have you, it's pretty much built around what Tajima does. So that's like the holy grail of embroidery. And they have some affordable machines, even though this new one we just talked about that has the AI tension monitor or whatever they call it, regulator. It $30,000, 15 or 16 needles. If you look at one of the top line Racomas, if I'm not mistaken, it runs you 25. So $5,000 extra and get the AI that takes care of your attention. It would be worth it if I had a commercial business where that would be a machine that I would want to use. It would be worth it for me to do that. But I'm not at that point. Don't think I ever will. Matter of fact, I know I won't ever will. I won't ever buy that machine. But I tell you, with the Melco Summit, you never know. You know, trade this puppy in and get a good deal off, or who knows? Who knows? I don't know. But I'm not even really at that point, to be honest about it. I would be happy with just keeping what I have and getting a luminaire, and that would put a big, huge smile on my face. I think I would be totally happy in the world of embroidery. Now they came out with you can find now, because I think it was last week that these 3 new machines came out. And now if you go online, you will see several different sites and embroidery companies and dealerships that have their little demos out and their information about these 3 new machines and everything. So if there's something you're interested in, you think you might want to get it or what have you, check out these sites and stuff before you make up your mind. Also, if you're anywhere near a brother dealer and you have the opportunity, once they hit the stores, check them out as well before you make up your mind and see if this is something that you want. Oh, Carol, you took me. Don't let my tickets right hear me. You're right about that. Well, you know what? Maybe she won't act up. Maybe she'll try to be a good girl, so I won't get rid of her, and she'll be extra special good to me. So you hear me? You be extra special good, and you'll be here forever. But yeah, like I said, for me, I'm not in the market for a new multi-needle machine, but I'm definitely planning on getting a new flatbed machine at some point because I want a larger sewing field, stitching field, and my SE 1900 is not cutting it anymore with the 5x7. That ain't working for me. So something has to be at least 6.5 by 10. I don't even really want to go that small, to be honest about it. The Celeste, the size of the sewing field for the Celeste is perfect for me. But I don't want to compromise and get the Celeste when it's a potential of getting the Luminaire, even if it's a used Luminaire, because if the price is $8,300 for a brand new Celeste, should be able to get a gently used or demo Luminaire around that same price. That's what I'm thinking. So that would be what I would try to do. That's what makes sense to me. But that is where I am. So any other questions? I hope all of this has been clear to you as far as the 3 machines and what they do, and if and when you should make a decision to switch over. And how do you feel about it? Are you excited about the new machines? Are you disappointed? Did you expect more? I was excited to hear that they were coming out with new machines. When they put the little teaser out, I was getting excited because I know that they had sent out some surveys to various people. I knew that Marina had gotten one. I had gotten one, and I'm sure several other people had gotten surveys from Brother about machines and what have you. And so I was like, okay, if they don't do anything else, they're going to definitely upgrade the software where you can read the Mighty Hoops. We did get a software update, but to my knowledge, it doesn't read Mighty Hoop. If anybody knows any different, let me know, because to my knowledge, it doesn't, unfortunately. And of course, they did not come out with a larger embroidery feel, which is a letdown for me. So my excitement quickly waned once it came out and I saw what it did. It didn't excite me to the point of wanting to get a new machine. So I don't know what Brother is going to do, or even if that is something that most people are feeling. Robin, you say, I'm disappointed in the new machine after learning what they do or don't do. Yeah. That's my feeling. And I don't think I'm by myself or in the minority, because you got to keep up. You got to keep up. And they're not keeping up. There are people that are upgrading to different machines because if you have a 10 needle machine, most people are doing some type of business, whether it's a big full-fledged business where they're making good money, or they're doing bits and pieces here and there, kind of like I do, where they make a little money. They're doing something with that big machine. It's generating some money to help pay for itself. And if you're doing that, then you want the machine to do what you want it to do. And then why buy another machine that basically does the same thing of the machine that you already have? I don't get it. I don't understand it. And I don't understand what they were thinking about when they did what they did with their machine. And I don't know if they're listening to their customers or who they think their customers are. Maybe they don't think we are their customers. I don't know. But that's just kind of where I am at this point. So it is that time now. Don't forget the thumbs up. Don't forget to hit the like button, the notification bell, the subscribe button if you haven't subscribed. Let your friends and families and co-workers and anybody that is into the embroidery or crafting business know about my site. Invite them to the live on Tuesday night. Once I get my stuff together with my time schedule and what I'm doing, and a whole bunch of stuff going on new, I'm going to get back to doing my DIY things on my channel. I got to get that done, get it back rolling. And we're still growing with the subscribers. I'm trying to hit that 2,500. So you guys come on with it. Come on with it. Let people know. But please give me a thumbs up. I do appreciate it. I appreciate your support. I'm going to see everybody that are on the Zoom tomorrow night, the Social Society crew. Marina, I hope I see you tomorrow night as well, if at all possible. If you need the passcode, just send me a text or email or what have you so you can come on in. I'm so glad to see you. You have been sorely missed. Thank you for stopping in tonight. And Jenny, you said, what did you say? Maybe to select someone only. I have a small sewing machine. Bigger throat space would be good. Yeah, that's not a bad idea. It certainly is worth looking at. I thought about that as well, to be honest about it. And it would definitely have to do with price. Whenever I get ready to make that move, it would definitely come down to what I can get for the best amount of money. And okay, that's fine. Hopefully next week. But please do plan to come back at some point. We miss you. But anyway, I'm going to say good night to everybody. You guys take care. Have a wonderful rest of your week. And I will come back next week, hopefully with something else that is of interest. And until then, I'll say goodbye to everybody. Put your comments in, put your likes in, subscribe, and you guys take care. Good night.